What did you more fully commit yourself to this past week as it relates to a new sense of self and identity that you're choosing to step into and really align with more than the past version of yourself? Where do you have Aries in your birth chart? Let me know in the comments. I'll reply to as many as I can because that is a major player of your life at the moment and will continue to be so as we continue into April. Especially this week, we have a full moon in Libra. So this week is really about there's a lot going on this week. But in general, it's really about like kind of just further solidifying this new sense of self and version of you, especially as it relates to relationships, your value, your self-worth, money for a lot of us, even too, and how money and relationships are very deeply tied into our self-worth, how we view ourselves as being worthy just for being. Everything around us is a reflection of us in various forms, right? So this week is kind of a further, especially the first 2 days of the week, a further, a further cleanup as it relates to that, as the moon will be in Virgo. Then we have the full moon in Libra on Wednesday. On Monday, Venus moves into Taurus. Oh my God, I'm so excited. All my Taurus placements I know are going to be so happy. But with that comes a challenging relationship that Venus will be making to Pluto. So, again, big themes of transformation and change as it relates to your self-worth, your values, relationships, and money. Things might kind of come in order to test your resolve. Are you really dedicated, disciplined with, committed to this new path and this new chapter and the new version of yourself that is required for this new chapter? That is going to be a big focus of this week. So we really continue our lives, especially further and further into this year, with this new version of ourselves really embodied, really grounded, really rooted, really stable on a foundation that nobody can shake us out of or away from, right? So that is the major energy of this week. We're also going to have it's just interesting. I did in my membership, I did a part two to 2026, and I had done in January a part one of 2026. We looked at the first 6 months of this year, and I recently did a part two in my membership for the second half of 2026. And it's just so interesting that this year, and maybe this is just because I've only been doing these weekly updates for a year, I'm just I don't know, picking up on these patterns all of a sudden. Maybe they always exist, but I feel like last year we didn't have this very much. But this year it really feels like there's a lot of push and pull. There's a lot of up and down. There's a lot of, oh my God, this is challenging, but also there's something miraculous that came from it. And oh my God, like there's such harmony at the same time that there are challenges and conflicts. And this week is no exception to that. We're going to have Mercury harmonizing with Jupiter. The moon is also going to join that towards the end of the week after the full moon. So there's a lot of harmony and inspiration, especially of the creative and spiritual kind, at the same time that there are these conflicts and challenges in our lives in other ways. And I made a tweet, a thread post about this a few days ago and realizing that with the North Node in Pisces, there have been such rhythms and flows and up and downs, and we really just have to fully surrender with these transits as we're further transitioning from earth and water to fire and air this year. Transitions don't happen overnight, change doesn't happen overnight. So we have to really come at it from a very present-minded place and let things flow. Follow the path of least resistance. This is one of the greatest things I have learned from diving into my human design, and one of the many reasons that I wanted to share it and teach courses on it and talk more about it in my content was because it's so helpful to know what your intuition looks like, how it speaks to you personally, and know how to follow it and know when you're following it, what that looks like for you. Like for me, I'm meant to feel peace and satisfaction. I have felt the most peaceful and satisfied these past couple months that I can ever remember feeling because I truly followed my excitement, which is how my intuition, my inner guidance, my inner authority, if you know the language of human design. Mine is sacral. I'm meant to follow my excitement. I'm literally like, that's it. If we were just to keep it simple like that, like that's how I meant to go through life. And I followed my excitement to my Venus line, even though my mind was like, well, my Venus squares Chiron. Is this gonna be okay for me to live on? But I followed my pure excitement to see. And it turns out it is a wonderful place for me to be, and I absolutely love it. And my signals for, hey, you're in alignment are peace and satisfaction. So that's how I know I am on the right track and I am operating in alignment. And that's one of the really amazing things that human design can help with is just giving you a way to know when you're out of alignment versus when you're in it, when you're following your true path or path of least resistance, we call it, path of most ease. What does that look like for you? What does that feel like for you? And how do you know when you're making decisions that are aligned with that or not? That's really, if we had to sum up human design, that's really what it is for. Anyways, got off on a tangent with that. I'm really looking forward to April overall. Also really just looking forward to the rest of the year. Like I said, I did the part two of 2026 in my membership. We did the second half of 2026, July through December. And I'm just so excited for Jupiter to be in Leo. I'm so excited for the North Node to be in Aquarius. And I'm honestly really excited for the Venus retrograde we have in October. But not to get too ahead of ourselves, let's stay focused on this week. We begin April. We begin one of the most fast moving big months of change, arguably in 2026. There's going to be other stuff that happens throughout the year. Obviously, if you're in the astro world, you've heard about what probably else is going to be going on the rest of the year. But April is a really big month of, okay, next chapter, new beginning, here we go, forward momentum, everything kind of happening all at once, energy, and our lives are never going to look the same after this month. And I'm just so excited. All of my one-on-one clients with my sessions have revolved around that majorly of like, okay, so what new chapter are you stepping into or wanting to like, here's how that's showing up for you and here's how you can further align with it. And yes, like do more of this. And yes, you're meant to let go of that. And like, so you can step into this and like, yes, keep moving in this direction because it is going to pay off. And this is a really big month of all of that coming together more fully than it ever has. So, and it's my birthday month. So I'm a little biased. I think April. I love all the seasons, but I especially just love April. It's just fresh energy, fresh start, spring. Things are great. The sun's coming out again. The trees are growing leaves and the flowers are blooming and everything just feels hopeful and alive. So very excited for this month and the astrology as well. So let me see. Is there anything else I want to say about this week? This is kind of coming from so I am an intuitive channel. This is kind of coming from my intuition of just what I was kind of talking about a little bit earlier too. Staying present as much as you can is going to be so helpful. Not future tripping yourself, not trying to think too far out or too far ahead. I think it's funny the camera went a little blurry there with that. We're not meant to necessarily focus on, okay, what's going to come up for me next month or what no, what is coming up for you right now to do or take action on? Maybe it's watch a Netflix series or maybe it's, post something on social media or, call a friend. Whatever it is, like really try to train yourself to be more focused on the present than ever. Deep breaths. Meditation can help with this or having a grounding practice. Um, really try to stay as present as you can and remember that everything is going to work out. Remembering that it's fine, it's all divine. Surrender. What is that? That 90s song that's like, I will put my hands up and surrender. Anyways, so yeah, that's another big message for this week and just heading into April and as well as the rest of the year. So don't let toxic exes come back in either. No more of that. Trust your intuition. Listen to it, act on it. It's gonna help so much. I think that's all. Okay, let's get into the horoscopes. Aries Rising. We start this week off with the emotional focus on your work, also on your day-to-day routines. There might be something you release around that on Monday of like needing to like, I don't know, get into the gym or really be on your meal prep and get out of your head and just take the action and do it is really a big energy on Monday. There might also be some weird stuff with communication, maybe a mental release. Um, Mindset shift, big mindset shift as well through maybe emotional release or something like that. As we get into Tuesday, the emotional focus on your work, on your day-to-day routine, health is kind of putting tension on what's going on with your mental health. So there's at the start of this week a big focus on balancing those two things. And again, maybe you need to really refine what you're doing on your day to day in order to take better care of your physical health that also supports your mental health. Now, as well, at the start of the week, there's a shift in focus with your values, with your self-worth, with your finances, in relationships on your money. So there might be some big thing that you're realizing you want to change about money, maybe long-term goals with money, investment goals, or just kind of what you're doing with money long term. There's a need for you to really change something, and it might kind of be a build-up where it's building all week, and then by the weekend you get clarity on what that's going to look like for you moving forward and what you actually want to take action on as it relates to that. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationships. We have the full moon in your area of relationships. So there could be a lot of clarity as it relates to the people you want to have around you or that you are starting to have more around you that really align with this new version of yourself, that really align with who you've become versus who you were. There might be an opportunity to just enter into a new circle of friends or attract different people in your life that really feel more supportive of who you have become more so than ever before. There could be something on Thursday really healing about that that comes in or that happens like healing emotionally. You could meet somebody that really kind of solidifies in these identity shifts as well as feeling inspired. There might be I don't know, there's this push and pull between you, your relationships, social time, and also like what's going on in your inner world. Maybe you're feeling really creative or really wanting to focus on spiritual stuff. You could be getting messages through dreams. There's something about that as well, especially as we get closer to the end of the week, maybe around the full moon too. There's just a lot of harmony between your mental health and what's going on with home, what's going on with family. So there's a big focus on that too at the same time. Friday, the emotional focus shifts into your shared resources, debt, taxes, investments, um, mediumship, also intuition, your kind of inner psyche as well is becoming more of an emotional focus as we end out the week. There could be the stuff about money that's kind of been building all week. There's maybe a sense of clarity around through some conflicts or challenges, maybe that happen with someone in your community or on social media that kind of help you to realize, oh, this is what I need to change, or this is actually what I want to do moving forward. That could really solidify in Friday. And it might be something that you really start to like as we end out the week, it's like, okay, here we go. This is what I want to do. This is how I want to go about it. Especially Saturday, there's a lot of harmony between just in your inner world that is supporting the external. So there's a lot of focus on your internal world that's supporting the changes you're making on your external and in your like real life. And then as we end out the week on Sunday, there could be a big breakthrough around money or value, resources, possessions, what you want to do with money. At the same time, there could be something about that maybe challenges some home expansion or family expansion. Again, it's kind of like these breakthroughs and these things you're realizing you want to evolve and change are supporting all the other stuff. Um, Even if it maybe feels at times counterintuitive or like how is this playing into that? Because seem maybe unrelated, but they're not. Like it all really is tying in to everything else. It's all connected, and the breakthroughs in one area are going to support you in the other areas, and vice versa. So, yeah, let me know how your week goes for you, Aries Rising. I'd love to hear what kind of breakthroughs come through as we get to the week's end and start next week. So let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. I will put my hands up. Hi, Taurus Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your creative pursuits, passions, children, romance, or dating. There might be something that comes about on Monday that's a big emotional purge related to that. Or maybe you're kind of releasing maybe a mindset as it relates to creative passions or projects, maybe a tendency to be self-critical or hold yourself back with perfectionism. And there's a big emotional release around it and kind of this energy of I just need to do it. I just need to act on it um, in a really big way. Tuesday, there continues to be emotional focus on your creative passions, dating, romance, but it is kind of putting tension on something you're wanting to do that ties into your long-term goals. It might just be like a simple refinement. It could also be feeling a little busy and not sure how to balance everything. It feels like there's a lot of social stuff happening for you, and you're kind of pulled to do social things, but also, wait, I need to create this thing or I want to put this thing out into the world. And it's kind of like, how do I balance all of this that's going on? But I feel like it's going to help you get clarity. Um, There's also a sense of at the start of the week, big renewal in terms of your sense of self. And with Venus now in Taurus, there's a lot of emphasis on you, a renewal of your sense of self, your appearance, maybe feeling just like better in how you look. Or what you see in the mirror, or just how you present yourself to the world, maybe feeling more embodied in your self-worth and values and things that have changed for you as it relates to that over the last few years. There could be more embodiments that takes place as well, but it could directly, something about that could directly challenge the changes you're making in your career, and that kind of builds all week. And it does feel like by the end of the week, there's clarity on that. But it is kind of something that produces conflict or tension for you during the week as well. Kind of like a buildup and then a release as we end out the week. But on Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day-to-day work, your routine, your physical health, and how that supports your mental well-being. The full moon in Libra is on Wednesday in this area of your chart. So there's a lot of focus on what do I need to maybe further let go of in order to have a more harmonious balance with how I take care of myself, my physical and mental health, and maybe there's something tied into that with relationships as well, and maybe needing to have better boundaries or communication of your needs as it relates to what you do for your physical and mental health. Thursday, there could be some big healing that happens with that. Um, Maybe through a moment of tension within a relationship or about your routine or about your schedule, and it's kind of like this make or break. There is a lot of good harmony between your long-term goals and what you're communicating as it relates to that. You could also be feeling really creative, wanting to create content or share things with people or your community or friends, or feeling a little more supported through social interactions as well on Thursday. And there could be some later on Thursday, maybe even into Friday, there could be some kind of moment of healing clarity with what's going on that has kind of felt like this tug of war between these two areas of your life. There's a sense of you know what to do moving forward in order to have more balance. Friday, the emotional focus shifts into your relationships. There could be something about that you're wanting to change. Um, Again, it's a lot of relational stuff for you, Taurus, at this time of like, what do I need to change with who I hang out with or where I go or who I talk to or what we talk about. That's more aligned with my values. That's more aligned with this new version of me that has been forming and that really is solidifying in. At this time, there's kind of this emotional tug of war between the people you have around you and where you want to go or where you want to take yourself. Um, yeah, Friday could be a lot of tension between you, your relationships, and your career, what's changing about that. But again, it is propelling you into a breakthrough around it and an evolution, and ultimately clarity of what changes to make in order to better support you. Especially on Saturday, there's a lot of harmony between your communication, your long-term goals and visions, your creative things, just feeling more creatively inspired, and your relationships as well. So it feels like again, all of this kind of clicks in on Saturday, and there's a sense of like, okay, I know what to do. Here's how I go about it. There might be supportive people helping you with it as well. Um, and then yeah, as we get to the end of the week here on Sunday, there could be a really big further emotional breakthrough around relationships and maybe again what you need to communicate or be better about letting people know of like, hey, I need this, I need this time for me, or I need this whatever it is to take care of my health and my mental health and like things like that. It's like all about communication for you as we end out the week, Taurus. Like you got the clarity, now you have to let people know what it is so they can support you in it as well. So that's your week ahead, Taurus. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Gemini Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your home and family. There could be something major emotionally that you're releasing as it relates to that. Um, so that maybe you can do something with career related to what you have been stepping into there for the past year or so. It feels like there's something you need to cut ties with in home or family in order to do what you want to do moving forward with career. And there's a big focus on that at the start of the week, especially on Tuesday. There could be some emotional tension between home and family and what's going on with career, your ability to act on it or move forward with something in career with your reputation. But there is a lot of harmony between what's going on in career, that is a new direction, and what's going on with money. There's an expansion opportunity with your resources with money, in order to support this new direction with career or vice versa. Your career and new direction really supporting your money, right? There's a lot of harmony with that, even though there's these other areas that feel like they have some tension going on. There's also this buildup all week of a big perspective shift. There could be some things coming up around mental health or subconscious themes, belief system stuff of really kind of needing to reframe. Maybe if you've had a past tendency of like seeing things really negatively, right? This is just a really mundane example, but if you in general have viewed things really negatively, there's a need for you to really shift it and kind of look on the bright side of things because it is supporting you, even if it's like maybe not traditional or what you expected. Wednesday, we have the full moon in Libra in your area of creative passions, dating, romance. There could be some culmination of energy with that that's been building over the last 6 months. Children, perhaps, as well. This area represents, take it as it resonates. There's something that is kind of coming into a manifestation around those things. Could be creative pursuits that you have kind of been, had on your long-term goals and visions that you want to do, and you've really started to majorly in new ways commit yourself to it. And there is a sort of sense with the full moon on Wednesday of things finally coming together and getting more answers. There could be something, again, you have to let go of in order to have that manifestation more completely. Could be a mindset, could be emotions, even. Thursday, there's emotional tension between what's going on with creative projects, passions, as well as what's healing about your identity with long-term goals or visions or social causes or community. It could trigger a wound emotionally that you have to kind of face and look at again and reframe. There's a big focus all week that is building a really big perspective shift for you, Gemini. And I think you're going to be viewing the world a lot differently as we end out the week. This kind of perspective shift really setting in as we get closer to the week's end. But a lot of positive harmony through money, a lot of kind of like miracle-esque stuff happening with career and money this week too. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your day-to-day work, your physical health, your routine. Put some tension on what's going on with your mental health and subconscious, and again, challenges that perspective shift. This is really when things start to be challenged so that you can evolve how you view things. You're really given the opportunity on Friday to shift something majorly about how you're viewing things. There maybe is a need for you to kind of, how do I say, release tension through something that's fun for you, like pickleball, or I don't know, something that allows you to just kind of like get anger out or release tension that is fun for you at the same time. There could be a need for that, and it might help you with some more emotional clarity around these evolutions and changes that are occurring for you. Saturday, Saturday feels like it all comes together. It really feels there's a lot of everything kind of falls into place and lines up if it hadn't up until this point. It's like, okay, here we go. There's more of a flow and more of a rhythm. Although there could be something, mm, once again, that's a little challenging with your long-term goals, vision, community, friendships that directly challenges what's going on with money. It might feel like a setback, but it's kind of like God's form of protection is redirection, right? So that's kind of the energy as well. And again, perspective shift. Seeing it as something that's really helpful instead of going to hinder you or yeah, set you back. It's actually coming up to support you even if it in the moment is challenging and feels really conflicting. Sunday, yeah, there's more focus on that having a mental breakthrough, maybe related to your what you've been focusing on emotionally with work and your routine. There also feels like there's some greater harmony between what's going on with physical health, work, and mental health, as well as what's going on with career. It feels like, again, by the week's end, all of this stuff kind of solidifies, and you're really starting to see how all of it is supporting you, even if that hasn't always been the viewpoint up until now. So that's your week ahead, Gemini. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I'd love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Cancer Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your communication, your day-to-day errands, where you're going, who you're talking to on a daily basis. There could be something really big emotionally that you release on Monday related to that. It could also be putting tension on maybe a higher perspective you've been kind of focusing on having with life. It could I don't know, you could really step into a new way of viewing the world around you and then have this big release of some belief system or maybe even communication pattern related to that. Especially Tuesday, it feels like there's a lot of tension between your emotional focus on cleaning up something within your communication and what's going on with your kind of higher perspective of life and what you're taking action on as it relates to that. There's a big focus as well at the start of the week that shifts from career and onto your long-term goals and visions for yourself in life. And maybe really there's a call or focus on embodying your long-term visions differently or community, kind of making some changes there, maybe related to your inner world, the healing you've been doing on yourself for yourself. Is starting to show up more so in how you feel when you're with people or when you're around people. And there's kind of this change and evolution building all week related to that and what's going on in your inner world and maybe even what's going on with finances and long-term goals with finances and debt or taxes or things like that. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your home and family. That's where we're going to have the full moon in Libra for you on Wednesday. There could be something really big as well that solidifies with career, maybe related to home or family or a move or something like that. That kind of brings in relationship stuff in some way. It feels like it could, though, directly challenge what's going on with your expansion. So there's a need to not forsake yourself for others or family or anything like that. To maybe lean on as well supportive people you have around you at this time if something comes up around that kind of tests your resolve with how you've healed in terms of your identity and how that affected you, the relationships, the type of people you attract. Especially Thursday, there could be something that really solidifies in with this identity healing. Maybe that is brought up in an emotional way related to home or family. Um, and it's kind of like, again, don't fall back into old versions of yourself. Really stay rooted in this new you that has evolved, that knows how to hold their boundaries, that knows how to, speak up for themselves. That's the energy. Like, remember who you've become. And there's going to be, I feel, a solidification of that. Especially Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your creative passions, projects, dating and romance as well. So there could be something around that. And it adds tension to what's going on with your long-term goals and this embodiment that is taking hold in you. And maybe, again, kind of challenges it in a way and kind of, again, calls for you to just be really rooted in it and be it's almost like like remember who you are. I keep hearing that. Um it could feel like though really challenging in the moment on Friday. It's not a super fun energy, but I do feel the way to release the tension of this is to do something fun. Maybe with your money. Um like going to a place you would never allow yourself to go shopping before, or doing something that's fun. And maybe you have to splurge a little bit in order to like do the thing that you're like, I've always wanted to do this. And like, okay, it costs a little more than I usually spend, but like it feels like it's going to help resolve all the tension and the challenging energy. Like, really focus on what you can do that's fun, even if it involves a little bit of money. Money's energy, it'll come back. It always does. It just circulates. Saturday, it feels like there's a lot of harmony between everything really clicking more into place. There's a lot of, I feel like you're really solidifying in this new perspective of life. Again, all of these themes of embodiment coming up for you, of really stepping into this new version of yourself fully and seeing it mirrored back to you in the external world as well, maybe for the first time, maybe through what you're doing with career or this new chapter you stepped into as it relates to your reputation or your image. It just kind of feels like, oh, Saturday feels good, like things really kind of clicking into place. There's a lot of creation, emotional harmony. There's a lot of inspiration or motivation for creating or sharing ideas, things like that. Sunday, there could be a kind of further emotional tension with the changes you're wanting to make as it relates to your long-term vision, community, social media, friendships. But again, it's kind of like not operating from the old version of you. Like, how can you alchemize anything that comes up that isn't you anymore? There could be some, as we end out the week as well, tension or challenges between career and this new version of you, and expanding more into that. There could be this kind of final test of, are you really committed to this? Are you really dedicated to pursuing this path? Or are you going to fall back into the old? It's kind of the energy. But I feel like it's challenging. There may be conflicts, but ultimately it is beneficial to you and stepping into the new and evolving what needs to change in order to have more harmony with this new chapter and beginning. So that's how we end out your week, Cancer. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Leo Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your money. There could be something about money or how you're making it that you're choosing to really let go of emotionally. There is a need for that in order to step into this new chapter and this new direction, maybe with more spiritual things or maybe with investments, shared resources, sharing more about that, creating things related to that. There's a big focus on, okay, I really need to let this go because I can't hold myself back for fear of criticism, or I can't hold myself back from what I actually want to do because I'm being overly perfectionistic, or I'm scared of judgment, or I'm scared of this, or I'm scared of that, right? There's a big emotional release related to that. So you aren't bound to the past anymore. So you really fully release it and step into the new. There could be on Tuesday some further emotional tension between resources and money that kind of also helps you to get more clarity on what you need to do moving forward or what you that really supports what you want to do. There is a lot of focus um, beginning to shift from, okay, healing a perspective, healing a mindset, and moving into how are you bringing that into your career, or how are you wanting to step into this new embodiment or chapter with your reputation and with your image that feels more aligned with you and who you are. That maybe has been going through a major change or a chaotic change over the past 7 years, and there's this need to really fully step into it and embrace it and maybe take a leap of faith. Maybe there's someone in your life that's supporting you to do that. Um, Although there could be this whole week challenges building between what you're doing with career, what you're stepping into with career that's more embodied, that's more pleasurable for you. There could be something about that that's directly challenging a relationship or other people in your life. Um, but it is propelling you to just get more clarity on what you want to do moving forward, how you want to do it, and go about it. It's kind of like positive evolutions coming from the challenges. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts into your communication, your day to day, where you go, who you talk to on a daily basis. There's the full moon in Libra we have in this area of your life as well on Wednesday, really giving you some big clarity of maybe a manifestation, a culmination with how you share yourself. How you share ideas and information kind of coming to fruition at this time. Maybe something that's been building over the past 6 months, maybe putting something out there, publishing a book, or really just realizing, okay, this is what I want to do moving forward. This is how I want to share myself, my ideas, my information. There's a big culmination manifestation moment around that with this full moon. Um, of doing the thing, of putting it out there. Maybe there's some further, again, emotional things that need to be let go of or released in order to step in that direction and have this come to fruition in the way that you want it. Thursday, there could be some emotional tension around your communication, belief systems, that kind of bring up maybe some triggers in your perspective of life and how you view the world, and further calling for you to release that old version of you that you don't want to keep perpetuating. As we head into Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your home and family. There could be something about that that puts tension on what's going on with career, or kind of challenges what's going on with relationships. The release of all of this, because it kind of feels like a clusterfuck of of challenges and tension between home and career and relationships, and it's like, what can you do for yourself? Do you need to throw yourself a dance party? Do you need to go get a facial? Do you need to go out for a night of dancing? Like, what is gonna feel really fun for you to do to release the tension of the energy that's showing up in these other areas of your life? It's kind of like don't let it pull you under. And as we head into Saturday, there's a lot more emotional harmony in your inner world and kind of this new belief system, or this just more solid feeling of where you're going. And kind of the inner work, like the inner work kind of clicks into place, and you're like, oh, okay, there we go. Here's how I want to move forward. Here's how, like, it just feels like there's a lot more clarity that comes on Saturday, and harmony in your inner world between everything. Sunday, as we end out the week, there's more of that energy. There is emotional harmony between what's going on with home and family, or your inner world, inner healing, as well as what you're taking action on with shared resources, debt, taxes, investments. or doing again more of this kind of psychological cleanup. There's a lot of harmony with that. And it could put a little tension on your career and the change you're making with your career. But again, it's kind of bringing up these themes of do you want to keep operating from this old version of you that maybe wasn't fully embodied in your worth or wasn't fully embodied in your value? Do you want to keep repeating that cycle? It's kind of it's a make or break as we end out the week. But there is at the same time a lot of harmony on really fully stepping out of that pattern and healing it for good. So that's your week ahead, Leo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Virgo Rising. We start your week off with the big emotional release of you. There's an emotional focus on your sense of self, your identity. It could feel like a big emotional renewal of the self, and at the same time, there could be a further emotional release tied to an old version of yourself that you're really fully letting go of. Maybe a version of you that was overly critical or overly questioning of yourself or your actions or your whole life in general. That could as well put tension on what's going on with relationships, communications within relationships, where you're headed in general with people, the people around you, other people in your life that are not you. There could be some emotional tension that's added to that area of your life as well on Monday and Tuesday with this emotional focus being on you. It's kind of like, okay, how does this change I'm making or this big release I'm going through tie into my relationships? And maybe what changes need to happen there or are happening there that are tied into this as well. I feel like Tuesday brings more of that, and it also brings a big perspective shift. There's a big shift within how you're viewing life. There's a big focus as well starting on Monday and moving forward through April on your belief system, and do the current beliefs you hold align with your values, align with this new version of you that you've stepped into related to your self-worth, align with what you want to do moving forward with money, align with what you want to do moving forward within your relationships. Does it all feel aligned? And if not, there needs to be further kind of cleanup. And especially with this full moon on Wednesday in your area of values and money and possessions, and it being in Libra, there's a big focus on which relationships support all of that and which ones don't. Who do you maybe need to spend more time around to support where you're headed and where you're going? There's a big kind of culmination energy with money and resources and relationships and how that's tied together. That's been building over the last 6 months. Thursday, there could be something emotionally with money or value, self-worth, possessions that puts tension on further identity healing within your shared resources or vulnerability and intimacy, as well as what's going on with debt or taxes or investments and things like that. So there's kind of this emotional tug of war between your money and someone else's money, or what you're, again, more of a cleanup that's happening there or that you want there to be in those areas of your life. Maybe related to, like, again, people that can support you with that moving forward. And kind of coming from a place of like worthiness. If you have to ask for help or reach out for something, um, it's again just not being overly self-critical of what you need. We're human, we have needs, right? So the people you have around you are there to support you, want to support you, but can only if you ask, right? Is kind of the energy. So don't hold yourself back um, for fear of what people will say. Also, building all week is a massive evolution with your perspective related to your worth, your values, your money, and what's going on with work. Maybe what's going on with your physical health as well. There's a big need to maybe evolve something in those two areas and look at something differently, or just there's challenges. Things are challenging your belief systems. Things are challenging the way that you view life, and what can you do to kind of shift that, rearrange that moving forward in a way that feels more supportive. Especially on Friday, there's emotional tension to added to that mix. The release could be through some sort of mental health practice or spiritual practice that you have that feels really fun for you or that feels really loving. Maybe you need to like, have a dance night or really do something that just feels like fun, even if it seems a little whimsical. Could be something creative as well to help you release the tension that's going on in your communication, that's going on in your work, that's going on with your health, that's going on with your belief systems. It's kind of like it can be a lot, it can be overwhelming. So, as much as you can, do something that brings you joy to relieve the stress of it. And on Saturday, it feels there's a lot more emotional harmony between everything. There could be, again, people that you have to lean on, have helpful conversations with about all of this, that support where you're headed, that support you feeling more able to speak up for yourself and your needs. And as we end out the week, there could be a big breakthrough with communication, with belief systems, that maybe also is harmonizing some sort of action about a relationship. Could be one person or multiple people of like something you've wanted to take action on within a relationship. And it kind of feels like there's this more solid version of you clicking in as it relates to that and showing up in relationships differently as we end out the week. So that's your week ahead, Virgo. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. Love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Libra Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your subconscious, on your mental health. Could directly put tension on something that's going on with work or vice versa, with physical health as well, and kind of how you're balancing both those areas of your life at the moment. Not neglecting yourself, not neglecting your self-care, not neglecting your mental health. There could be a big emotional release or purge on Monday as well related to that, kind of maybe something that was unseen that gets brought up through a conversation about work or within work itself, something like that, or within kind of like your daily routine. On Tuesday, there could be more of that. But it could also inspire you to take action on something with work or put something out there as it relates to work. Or like start a gym routine or something like getting back into the gym, or it feels like whatever goes on emotionally within your inner world, it kind of triggers change and triggers action within work, physical health, in order to bring more harmony and balance to your mental and physical health, in terms of what you do on a daily basis to take care of both those parts of yourself and areas of your life. Also, this week, you have a big focus shift occurring, of your values, your self-worth, money, and relationships moving into your area of shared resources. So there could be a lot of focus on debt or taxes, investments all of a sudden, and kind of maybe further cleaning up that area in ways that you're realizing is needed. That could also be something that you just continue to get more clarity on as the week progresses, because there's kind of this buildup happening between your area of shared resources and what's going on with romance or dating or creativity, creative projects or passions. So there's something about both those areas and how they tie together for you that is evolving. As the week progresses, it kind of feels like this buildup that's happening, and that area, those areas might be challenging each other this week as well, so that you kind of look at what about it needs to evolve and change in ways that are ultimately going to benefit you more so moving forward. Wednesday, we have a full moon in Libra in your area of the self. There could be on Wednesday this big kind of culmination of a new version of yourself solidifying in, of really, there's this, we start Wednesday before the full moon peaks, it peaks later on Wednesday. We start early on Wednesday with this big energy of an emotional renewal of you, your sense of self, your identity, your appearance. There could be something really big clicking in with a full moon later on Wednesday, um, related to what you've been stepping into in this kind of new version of how you present yourself to the world, really seeing yourself maybe more fully than ever as well. Something that has been building for the last 6 months, maybe related to your appearance or body image or self-worth, is a big focus as well, and really comes to a manifestation. Could also relate to relationships or other people in your life that are helping you to see this new version of yourself too, and helping you to emotionally heal from old versions of yourself or how you would approach or handle relationships in the past. Not necessarily romantic, it can be, but it's also all kinds of relationships. Especially Thursday, there is a lot of emotional tension put on a wound, that a reoccurring wound, an identity-based wound within connections and relationships to other people. It's something about it is maybe triggered in a different way in order for you to see how much you've grown in this, how much really you have stepped into a new version of you. Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your money. It adds tension to what's going on with your shared resources and challenges the change that you're having and making to your creative pursuits, as well as dating, romance, or children. Friday could be a really good day to release tension or challenges with a social gathering. Going out and having fun with friends and kind of like not getting swept up by the challenges of the conflicts that are maybe occurring in other areas. There could be some breakthroughs with money, with resources related to creative passions or projects, related to dating or romance. Um, it it's not fun or comfortable energy, but it is happening so you evolve something in those areas and how those areas relate into each other at this time for you. And again, there could be a little reprieve of the tension could come through having a social gathering or going to a social place and doing something that's fun with friends or something. I do feel Saturday there's a lot of harmony and breakthroughs as we end out the week. Saturday, especially, there's a lot of emotional harmony between your money and your work and your career and what you're doing. You might be feeling more creatively inspired. There might be a lot of kind of sudden breakthroughs or inspiration or motivation to create something with career. Maybe even on Sunday as well, there could be a big breakthrough on money related to work and career and feeling this sense of like, okay, I want to take action on this and I want to take it on. I want to do it now kind of thing. Like a sudden emotional breakthrough of inspiration that comes that you, yeah, take action on as we end out the week. So that is your week ahead, Libra. Let me know how that resonates in the comments. I love to hear from y'all on how accurate these are for you. So let me know. And I will see you next week. Hi, Scorpio Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your long-term goals, visions, community, friendships. There could be something on Monday emotionally around that you're releasing. So you can step into some new creative passion or project that feels more aligned for you, that you've gotten a lot of clarity around over the past few weeks. And the energy that builds this week around it is like it's go time. But there might be some emotional things or ties to things emotionally you have to let go of in order to do that, to have space for it. Tuesday, more of that comes, more of that energy. There could be emotional tension on your ability to take action on a creative passion or project or pursuit. Maybe related to dating or romance too. If it's not creative stuff, it could be somebody in your life is now as well the planet of relationships. Venus is in your area of relationships. So um, there's a big kind of focus shift into other people in your life, and do you have other people around you that align with your values and align with what's changed in terms of your own self-worth over the last 6, 7 years that you've really done a lot of healing around. It's kind of like time for embodiment around this relationship stuff, around this maybe money stuff or self-worth or values. It's time to really live what you have changed about all of that and move forward. Wednesday, we have a full moon in Libra in your area of mental health. There could be something that really kind of solidifies about mental health or your subconscious that has been going through a big clearing cycle. Maybe something that has been building in that area of your life for the past 6 months. Kind of like these unseen changes or this unseen kind of cleanup happening for you. It could really challenge a belief system, it could really challenge a perspective of life. That you have been working to change in order to see things differently in your inner world as well as in your outer world. Big manifestation of something, maybe even related to work or related to physical health and how that supports your mental health or hasn't, and you need to change something or release something in order to support both areas in better harmony and balance. There could be something about that on Thursday that is emotionally challenged. Maybe a wound comes up, an old identity wound related to work or related to physical health. Again, that kind of gets you to see, okay, this is where I need to change this, or this is what direction I need to step into. This is what I need to be really disciplined or committed with as it relates to work or physical health, in order to better support the unseen, your internal world. Friday, there's the big energy of emotional renewal, but there could be tension that kind of comes with that in terms of what's going on with home or family that's changing massively, what's going on with relationships. The energy is kind of like, okay, yeah, there doesn't feel super comfortable. There's maybe a lot of conflicts and challenges with you, your home, your family, your relationships. The release of the tension of that is through your career. So maybe doing something fun with, I don't know, coworkers or doing something fun to creatively release this energy through your career or out into the world. Like just doing something fun for yourself, is really going to help so that you don't get swept away by, the intensity of Friday. Saturday, there's a lot of emotional harmony between you, your creative passions or dating, and your perspective. There could be something that really clicks in, maybe that has been building all week, related to you, what's changing about you, your perspective, and all these other areas of your life that are tied into that really solidifies in on Saturday. There also feels like a lot more clarity that comes about, in terms of what the challenge has been going on with home and family and relationships. You get more clarity on what to change and evolve as it relates to all of that in order to, yeah, just have more alignment moving forward within all those parts of you in different areas of your life. And as we end out the week on Sunday, feels like a big emotional breakthrough related to what's changing about you, your sense of self, and how your relationships tie into that and vice versa. There could also be something creatively you realize you need to take action on as we end out the week. So that is your week ahead, Scorpio. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Sagittarius Rising. We start your week off on Monday with the emotional focus on your career. There could be a big emotional release, that occurs within your career related to your public image in some way that kind of puts tension on what's going on with your home or family or inner healing. There could be a really big need for you to just like really release some tendencies of being overly critical on yourself for something or needing things to be perfect or whatever it is. It's kind of like the emotional release of an outdated mindset related to career. As well as that, on Monday, the focus of your self-worth, values, relationships shifts into your work. So there could be a bigger focus on, okay, what am I doing in work that I really feel like aligns with my values and my self-worth and how I want to make money? Could also directly challenge or add conflict to what's going on or changing about your communication style, how you're sharing ideas and information. It could just really challenge that area in order for you to evolve it in ways that are going to be more beneficial for you moving forward. Especially on Tuesday, kind of whatever the emotional focus or whatever's going on in your career that is an emotional focus for you. kind of puts tension on what you're able to change or take action on within your inner world or within your home or family. But again, it's kind of like you get from that clarity on what to do in order to have more balance with both those areas of your life. Wednesday, we have the full moon in Libra in your area of long-term goals, social media, community, friendships. So there's a lot of culmination in that area, maybe stuff that has been building over the past 6 months that you get clarity around on what to do, what to change, how to move forward in this area of your life. And there could be something about dating or romance tied into that as well. Could just be creative passions, if not dating or romance. There's some creative things, pursuits, projects you really need to commit yourself to or discipline yourself with more so in order to support what you're doing for yourself long term. That plays into this vision of your life and your long term goals that you're manifesting at this time. Thursday, there could be something emotionally triggering for you related to dating, romance, or creative passions. There could be an old identity that's brought up emotionally that you kind of have an opportunity to look at a deeper level in order to see, okay, do I want to keep acting that out? Or do I want to really fully step into this new version of me who doesn't do that anymore and really approaches this in a different way? Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your inner world, your subconscious, as well as your mental health, and puts tension on what's going on with work and what's changing about work and how you share ideas and communication, or how you share ideas and information through communication. There's a lot of tension. I think I already said this, but there's a lot of tension building all week between how you share yourself, how you communicate, and what's going on with work or physical health. And it kind of comes to a head on Friday. It's kind of like intensity all at once of like getting really faced with what needs to evolve and change about those areas, maybe even related emotionally to past patterns, subconscious stuff, mental health stuff. The reprieve of that energy and tension is through joy. What can you do that feels joyful for you? How can you kind of like remove yourself from the intensity or the denseness of the challenges and kind of maybe even go up to a mountain or something like something that's fun for you and that helps you to see things from a higher perspective is going to help with the tension on Friday. Saturday feels good. Saturday feels a lot better. It feels like there's a reprieve or a breakthrough that happens that kind of leads us into a better energy on Saturday, especially between your inner world. There's this clicking in, solidifying in of some healing, some cleanup in your inner energy, maybe related to, again, mental health, stuff like that. And then that leads us to Sunday. There could be a big breakthrough with mental health, your subconscious, spirituality, and what's changing about work and getting more clarity on all of that. And there could be something related to that that propels you to take action on something creative or gives you some motivation or inspiration to launch something new or do something differently within your home or family or just inner world in general. Like it feels like the cleanup is a lot more solid and embodied moving forward after this week. So that is your week ahead, Sagittarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Capricorn Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your perspective. There is a big release of a perspective or a way of viewing life or a mindset, maybe tied into criticism or perfectionism, that kind of puts tension on how you're sharing ideas, how you're communicating yourself, and sharing information. There could be something, again, about your perspective or belief system you need to release as it ties into that to have more harmony with what you're communicating or just how you communicate in general. As well as that, at the start of the week, there's a big focus on dating, creative pursuits, um, romantic things, but it could be, if not that, creative passions, projects, maybe children if it applies. There's a big focus on I don't know, maybe finally starting to make money through a creative passion or project or making more money than you had been. There's also this thing kind of building all week between that and what's changing about your money. So you might be really kind of faced with, do I raise my prices or do I launch this thing now? And it could bring in a lot of money for you. There's kind of that energy of things building with those two areas of your life all week. And there could be an opportunity on Tuesday for you to emotionally take action on sharing something that is creative in order to have more harmony with what you're doing and how you're doing it. Wednesday, we have the full moon in Libra in your area of career. There's a big culmination of what's going on in career, your reputation, your image that's been building for the last 6 months. So there might be, again, something you need to let go of or release as it relates to that. Maybe a perspective, a belief, maybe somebody in your life that doesn't support where you're headed with career or your vision. But there is something big that is kind of manifesting at this time within your reputation and your career related to what you have been building or growing there over the last 6 months. As we head into Thursday, there could be something emotionally that happens with career or reputation that maybe triggers a belief system related to an old version of you, maybe from childhood or from family growing up. And there's kind of this opportunity um, to solidify in the healed version of you and related to the new identity, as opposed to repeating the old patterns or behavior of the past. As we get into Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your long-term goals and visions, but it puts tension on what's going on with your dating or your creative passions and pursuits. It also challenges what's going on when changing about money. So there's a lot of tension, conflict between your long-term goals, visions, community, dating, romance, creative passions, and all of that feels like it's really challenging what's changing about your money or your resources or your value, your possessions. There could be a need for you to maybe clean out your closet. I don't know if we've talked about this in previous weeks. This could really come up by the end of this week for you of like letting go of things you're not going to wear, you don't value anymore, you don't feel good in, that kind of thing. Um, Feels like a kind of come to Jesus moment on Friday related to that. Like, does this support where I'm headed? No, I really need to just clear it out and let go of it, um, and not look back. You could also maybe, if the energy is really heavy on Friday, there could be a way to relieve that tension through joy in some way, doing something that feels fun or creative for you. But Saturday feels a lot better. Saturday, there's a lot of emotional harmony between your community, friendships, long-term goals and visions, and what you're sharing with the world, what you're communicating, what you're putting out there, as well as your relationships. There could be good opportunities for socializing on Saturday that feel really supportive for you and where you're headed. And then as we end out the week on Sunday, I feel like there's something you're gonna want to take action on creatively or spiritually as it relates to what you realized you want to change or evolve about all these other areas of your life. There's a big solidification energy and big, like, okay, here we go. There might be a sudden shift or breakthrough or kind of surprising energy about what to do or how to do it as well that comes on Sunday. So that's how we end out your week, Capricorn. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I will see you next week. Hi, Aquarius Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your shared resources, debt, taxes, investments. There's something big emotionally that you are being asked to release about that area of your life. Maybe so you can move in a new direction with money or what you're doing to make money, some creative passion or project or pursuit you've been building or taking action on. Um, it's kind of like, okay, yes, you're moving forward and things are going to be successful with it, but it's like first you kind of have to look at the inner the inner stuff and do a little bit more cleanup emotionally Monday and Tuesday in order to really fully move forward in a way that's aligned. Especially Tuesday, there could be tension between where you're pulled emotionally and what you want to take action on as it relates to money, but again, trust the slight pullback into your inner world to do further cleanup. As we head into Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your perspective, your belief systems. There is the full moon on Wednesday in this area of your life. So there could be something that really comes to a head with relationships and how you're viewing the people around you. Or as well, your kind of like how the people you spend your time around are contributing to the ways you view life and how that impacts every other part of your life. There's a big kind of culmination, maybe that's been building for 6 months around your perspective, your belief systems tied into your relationships versus your independence and your self-sovereignty. Thursday, there could be something kind of triggering that comes up, maybe with relationships or really calls into question a belief or a perspective of life, related to what's been healing about your communication styles the last 7 years, tied to an old version of you that you are no longer. And there could be an emotional moment of that old version of you being triggered a little bit. And it's kind of like helps you to see that you're not that version, you're not that person anymore. And so you approach it much differently. And I feel like I've said this already, but there's a big solidification happening of this new version of you, more so than there ever has been. Real, real embodiment. There's also a big focus, especially on Friday, on your home and family values, relationships, self-worth as it relates to home and family, in your inner world too. Could really challenge Friday and Saturday, especially what's going on with career, what's going on with you. Kind of like Friday, there's like this big fuckery between your emotional ability to focus on career, what's changing about your sense of self and identity, and then what's coming up to that needs to kind of maybe be addressed as it relates to money or relationships within your home and family. But the reprieve of that is maybe there's someone in your life that feels joyful for you to spend time around, or putting yourself around people who are joyful. There's if the heaviness and the denseness and the conflicts feel too intense, like you need to kind of do something that feels fun to relieve that tension on Friday. Saturday feels a lot better. It feels like there's breakthroughs that come through those challenges and that tension. And there's a lot more harmony on Saturday of like taking action on what's going on with money that you're changing, what's going on with work that is expanding. There's a big like things open up and emotionally you're able to focus more on career and all these other areas. It feels like there's great harmony between career, money, um, and work, as well as physical health. As we end out the week on Sunday, there's more emotional tension between career and family or home, and what you're changing about that area of your life. It's kind of like, okay, what about this needs maybe again more boundaries or more of an evolution to bring it into greater balance and not be so teeter-totter with career and with home or family. But there is as well on Sunday a lot of emotional harmony between your career and what's going on with money. So you might be really inspired to take action on something or create something to bring in more money or launch it, put it out into the world, whatever it is, looks like for you. Um, don't let the the tension or the challenges like pull you under, right? How can you see it differently and use it as fuel? So that's your week ahead, Aquarius. Let me know how that resonates in the comments, and I'll see you next week. Hi, Pisces Rising. We start your week off with the emotional focus on your relationships. There could be something emotionally you're releasing about people in your life or a certain relationship or business partner or something. There could be this big kind of emotional letting go of a connection or how you handle a connection, the dynamics, the communication within a connection, because it kind of has been putting tension on where you're headed and what direction you're stepping into with this newfound identity, newfound sense of self. Um, Especially Tuesday, there's a lot of emotional tension between relationships and you or your ability to focus on relationships and what's going on with you. There's something about, I don't know, how you're embodying maybe new creative things or spiritual things, intuitive things, that kind of like something about a relationship puts a little tension on Tuesday. And it's like, okay, how do I balance this? Do I need to be around different people? What can I do to bring this into greater balance is kind of the energy. Wednesday, the emotional focus shifts onto your shared resources, investments, taxes, debt. That's where we have the full moon in Libra for you. And really, um, it's being illuminated by what's going on with your money. So there's a lot of focus, there has been a lot of focus, and will continue to be a lot of focus on being disciplined with money or just being, I don't want to use the word careful, but just being intentional. Being intentional of what you're doing with money, how it's coming in, where it's going. There could be a big culmination of debt or taxes or shared resources, maybe through someone in your life helping you with that or just supporting you. Something that's been building there for the past 6 months. There's a manifestation that comes in with this full moon around that. Also, a big focus starting this week on your communication, how you're sharing ideas, information, where you're going on a daily basis, who you're talking to on a daily basis that really aligns with your values and this new version of you that you have stepped into and are becoming really embodied in. Could directly challenge what's going on with your inner world or your mental health as well. So that kind of is building all week too of how do I evolve or bring these two areas of my life into greater harmony in order to have the change I want to see with both of these areas. Thursday, there could be something that you're emotionally focused on with shared resources or vulnerability that's a little triggering, like kind of, I don't know, something maybe about money or resources kind of triggers you a little bit emotionally and maybe brings up an old version of yourself. And it's kind of like this whiplash moment of like, wait, I don't handle that way anymore. So it's an opportunity for you to further solidify in these identity related changes that have been happening. Friday, the emotional focus shifts onto your perspective and adds tension to what's changing about your communication styles related to the kind of mental health cleanup that's been happening for you, energetic, subconscious cleanup that you're going through and experiencing. Maybe also a spiritual awakening is occurring, and there's a lot of focus on that at the end of the week. There might be something you need to add to your routine that brings you more joy or is a little bit more spontaneous or whimsical that feels more fun for you to do every day or to just kind of make a part of your life or schedule in some way if you haven't before, like making time for fun. And not just like full adult all the time, right? Is kind of the energy that will help relieve any tension, and could further support the evolution of your perspective, your mindset, your communication skills. Saturday feels much better than Friday does. Saturday, there's a lot of emotional harmony between what's changing about you, ways you are communicating yourself that are different from how you would before, that are supporting these perspective shifts, belief system shifts, as well as like higher, just viewing life differently. And that could really support your creative endeavors, passions, and pursuits as well on Saturday. Feels like a pretty creative day. But don't let money things hold you back from creative passions or pursuits. There could be things about creativity that you maybe just doing something differently or innovating something in a creative way that's like thinking outside of the box and it brings in more money for you. So don't hold yourself back from creative inspiration as we end out the week. Especially Sunday, there could be something you're really wanting to take action on creatively, but it could again challenge what's changing with your belief system and how you communicate your ideas and share information. So, but it feels like that could result in a breakthrough of again a bit major perspective shift for you. So that's your week ahead, Pisces. Let me know how that resonates with you in the comments, and I will see you next week. Bye. All right, next week, the week of April 6th, um, feels really fast moving, y'all. Like, Moon is going to be in Sag at the start of the week, harmonizing with all that's in Aries. Venus is kind of letting up from squaring Pluto. So there's a lot of like okay, we dealt with the challenges of that, and now what are we doing to move forward? What are we evolving? What are we changing that feels better? We're also gonna have Mars move into Aries, I believe, this week. The moon is in Capricorn. Um, that might be a little challenging because it's squaring everything that's in Aries. But again, it's like what needs to evolve about your foundations or your systems in order to fully or better support where you're headed with everything. And then once Mars is in Aries, y'all, it is like go time. I mean, energy still might feel a little wonky because Mars is going to move over Neptune once it moves into Aries, and we haven't experienced that yet. Um, Also, the sun is getting close to Chiron as we end out next week, like April 10th. So there could be a lot more identity wounds that are being kind of illuminated. But that's more so the week of April 13th than the week of April 6th. The week of April 6th feels a lot of foundational stuff we're making changes with, um, in order to support where we're headed, what we're doing, where we're going. It's more, yeah, it's more foundational, emotional focus, and forward movement. And yeah, I think dreams are still going to continue to be weird with everything moving over Neptune and things still kind of in Pisces, the first half of the month. So yeah, that's kind of a sneak peek of next week. As always, let me know how your horoscope resonated with you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.